Ready?
Ready?
All right, welcome to the Side Action, the season finale, episode 31 of season 5. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegs on Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, aka Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. A little bit of technical difficulties here. If you're trying to find us on the normal channels, you're not going to find us only on YouTube. Let's drive YouTube up this week in our season.
There you go. I like it.
So, first of all, I got to start off the big winner here. This guy's destroying the universe. He did not win the Wegs pool, but he came in second. He won the player pool. I'm assuming you won the Calcutta.
No, we didn't. We won some money, but we didn't win. We had Creighton was our last remaining team.
Gotcha.
The cash though. Some positive paper.
Did good with some bets. So a good successful March Madness for my man here. Nice
one. How about you? Did you come out positive?
I did. I mean, yeah, I did. I mean, I definitely came out positive. I won money on the bets. I obviously didn't do good in any pools, but had some good. Basically, probably more than double. You tripled the initial investment. So
nice.
Ended up breaking even in Vegas as we discussed, but the last 2 weeks I've doubled the money. Maybe that's quadruple, whatever. Anyway, doing pretty good. So pretty excited. I could have done more. My units were pretty small, but after getting my face kicked into the craps table. But I will say that this is not by the way, YouTube, this is not a sponsor, but the Color Up YouTube channel. I've been watching that quite a bit to try to be like Art and learn some more craps strategies so I don't get destroyed next time. I have some different methods to go about it, so I'm not getting my face kicked in when it's a cold table.
Cool. You have to share some of your secrets with me.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, a lot of it is just different ways. There's so many different bets on the craps table, as you know, Action. What is there, like 300 or something? Goofy, maybe more. There's a lot of different methods, and obviously you taught me, so the basics, which you teach somebody, you kind of break out of that mold and look, not just do not pass, but like don't even play the come out roll. What? And then you basically place bets, and then you do the come out. Anyway, so more on that another time. But
that's another video.
Yeah, we obviously the Final Four party was fun. Wasn't as raucous as last time, but we had a good time. Some good games. Of course, that first game we'll go over was excellent. And then, I mean, I watched the women's game. We could talk a little bit about that, I suppose, too. That the controversy, you can only see that on YouTube.
Do you put your championship ring on that finger? I don't know. I didn't see the video.
I wouldn't think so. Maybe she was doing it this.
I would put it on my middle finger right here. Championship ring. If I had a championship ring.
Championship. Yeah. Either way, I've never really seen that kind of celebration before. Mm-hmm. I'm well aware that Caitlin Clark does this motion. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of debate about it. Really doesn't do it to a person, but hey, it got people to talk about women's basketball, and I watched the semifinal game with Iowa and the final game. So that's the first time I've seen a final for women's basketball in 15 years. You know what I mean? So
yeah, true.
Got me to watch. One last thing on the women's thing, and you want to move on to, but on Friday, I thought that was really cool. They did kind of like a Manning cast with
I saw that.
Who was it? It was Taurasi.
Subert and Taurasi.
Taurasi. That was really cool. And they had Lisa Leslie on there and Doris Burke. I mean, that was awesome. That was ESPN. They obviously coined that kind of thing. I thought that was fantastic. And I couldn't hear it at the bar because I was at O'Donovan's on Friday for another party, but I could see it. And I'm like, this is freaking cool. I like this idea. So
nice.
Let's get into the men's college basketball and the weekend recap. So in the picks, obviously the FAU San Diego State game, as I mentioned, was the big game, a really exciting game anyway. FAU, we were on FAU, both the spread, which did hit, and the money line. This game was a tough one, man. They had it. They were there the whole way. They were leading, I can't remember the total, but like 30 plus minutes, 35 minutes maybe in this game. And they had it, but give San Diego State credit. They just kind of I was saying at the bar, they're like an anaconda. They just kind of strangulate that offense over time
Hmm.
and squeeze people. And they were getting the line and getting a lot of offensive rebounds down the stretch. Now, the first half under did not hit, which is weird
Yeah.
for their team. It was kind of an open game at that point. But as the game went on, just kind of crunched down. And let's face it, Butler, the guy Lamont Butler, hits a jumper. I thought he almost stepped out of bounds. Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah. It was really close. Yeah.
They don't call a timeout. They take it up. The guy almost dribbles out of bounds, turns around, shoots, buzzer, good, winner. So the money line didn't come in on that one. But I think your Trammell bet did come in, didn't it?
Yeah. I won Trammell. I had, a few FAU plus the points. I was live betting FAU in the first couple of minutes too, which
Yeah.
turned out good. So, I mean, they had a 13-point lead in the second half. They really just kind of let it slip away. I think I forget the guy's name, but one of the guards was really getting to the basket at will, but I felt like they kept trying to force it to John L. Davis in crunch time, and he
Yeah.
was just in a funk. Whatever he had a really bad turnover too in transition, like in the last 5 minutes, which ultimately cost them.
Right. And they kind of neutralized the big man who was so big,
Yeah,
in the original play. Golden, I think his name was. He just wasn't. He got in foul trouble. I mean, he was playing some serious bigs there for San Diego State. But in the end, and we didn't mention, Matt Bradley finally had a decent game.
true.
He scored 21 points in that game, most of it in the first half. He didn't do much in the second half. So anyway, San Diego State advances. And then the nightcap, Miami against UConn. I thought this was going to be like a great game, but this UConn team was just a juggernaut. I did take the alt line again action. I went up to 9.5 plus 155. That was kind of my favorite bet this whole UConn stretch. And it really wasn't that close. I mean, the first half, they weren't that close. They got within 8 in the second half. I thought the Canes could, I think it was plus 3 I lost on the first half for the Canes. They couldn't really keep it close. And they just were, as you had mentioned on the pod, they were crushed by Sonogo and Klingon, the
Yeah,
young big man for UConn. And in the end, this game wasn't ever close in this one.
yeah, not at all. Miami really got run out of the building.
Yeah. So setting up the big championship game on Monday, kind of interesting because, I mean, you probably would have said, hey, San Diego State, they were like, oh, I put this on backwards. It says 57. It was 7.5 at the, kind of closed at 7.5. I think it opened a little bit lower
Six,
than this.
six. Yours truly -6.
Oh,
Was
did
it
you? -6.
easy? Easy
Well, don't
winner.
worry, action. I took -9.5 as an alt again. I wish I'd have
Nice.
done more. And in the first half, under did hit barely, by the way. Got
Hmm.
60.5, and they just got there.
Missed
Um,
layup at the buzzer too. Did
oh,
you see that?
it was 3 missed layups, buddy. I
Yeah.
was watching it intently. They had 3 chances. There were a tip in and another layup. So that hit. The total game went over, actually, the total, because it was 131, 132, the close. In the second half, the Aztecs played much better. They scored only 24 points in the first half, the
Hmm.
lowest total, I guess, of any championship game for one team. But in the second half, they played a little bit better, and they started doing San Diego State things. They started kind of getting, scratching and clawing. It wasn't as open floor as UConn had in the first half, and it got within 5. I was getting a little bit sweaty for my 9.5. And then Hawkins hit that big three
That
with
was
about,
big.
I don't know, like 4 minutes or 3 or 4 minutes to go. And they had gotten San Diego State in foul troubles. They were already in the double bonus with like 8 minutes to go. So after getting that back to 8, I think it kind of broke the spirit. And then they ended up winning by, what was it,
16,
17? Yeah,
15.
yeah. So they ended up covering my big line. And UConn, man, Danny Hurley gets it done.
Yeah, it was ultimately a blowout. It was really a strange game. I thought that Connecticut, I actually bet Connecticut in the second half too, just thinking that they would blow the doors off them. And then it
Me
got a
too.
little sweaty there with the 5 minute mark. But thankfully, Connecticut really turned up the defense in crunch time, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, I did miss because I did this bet again where it was the first 10 points of the second half. So I did
Nice.
UConn again, and it was close, but San Diego
Hmm.
State did hit the 10. It was like 10-7 or so. It was like, oh, but they got to get there. Then they got there. But so anyway, overall on the season, I mean, I know you were profitable. I was pretty profitable. Wish it was a little longer. It was only like a month, a month and a
Yeah.
half. of college basketball. But and I mean, UConn, we had talked about them a lot during the season that they had these great metrics. They just kept losing the Big East, and it wasn't quite lining up. And we talked about them in the Big East tournament. Let's line up against them. I was with them to win the Big East tournament. They didn't do it, and that's why I kind of backed off in the big tournament. But in the end, they really played to their abilities.
Yeah, I mean, they had that 2-6 stretch in January, but outside of that, they were definitely the best team in the country.
Yeah. So, well, as we close the book on college basketball, we have one last thing to talk about action for this season, and that's the Masters. And let's first start off that prime time. I didn't know he was going to the Masters. You need to tell me these things. He went to a practice round of the Masters, and I sent you the picture. Good old John Daly. You saw John Daly, got a little signature from him, a little autograph, and he also ran into one of our buddies, Cardish, down there. So, pretty exciting. I've never been down there myself.
Yeah, I wonder how many cigarettes he smoked with John Daly or chicken wings from Hooters. I'll have to get that story later.
Well, I didn't send you the other picture that Prime sent was like some Hooters chick with her nails that had like owls on them. So I didn't save that one on my phone actually. Not that it was racy, it just was, Prime was having a good time.
Oh yeah, it looks like a great time. I'd love to get down there someday.
Yeah, me too. It's obviously I heard you have to stay kind of far away because it's not a big town where the Masters is. So as we enter the Masters, I mean, you've been following golf and you've been betting on some golf. We talked a little bit during this, podcast season on golf. One of the bets you probably shouldn't make is what we're going to talk about is the futures, like who's going to win this thing. Because like we talk on many things, it's an index bet, right? So it's you only can win one way.
Yeah.
And you can obviously hedge it if you've got a winner and going into Sunday and the guy's winning, you could hedge at that point with somebody else. But when we talk about the odds for these guys to win, it's still hard to hit, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this tournament in particular is difficult because this and the rest of the majors, the odds are up like pretty much year round. So like come Monday, most of the books will put up Masters odds for 2024. And so
Right.
unlike many of the other golf tournaments, there's a whole calendar year for these numbers to be whipped into shape. You don't just have 5 days to get good numbers.
Right, that's true. So as I go down the kind of the top to bottom here, at least the top guys, you got Scotty Scheffler, who's been a machine at plus 650 to win. Rory McIlroy hasn't won a major since 2014, plus 650. John Rahm is plus 900. Cantlay's plus 1400. You got Spieth plus 1600. Justin Thomas 2000. You got X gonna give it to you 2200. Tony Finau 2200. Cam Smith 2500, and then Colin Morikawa 2500 plus 2500. So, do any of these guys? I mean, I know you want to go longer odds, but any of these guys tickle your fancy?
I mean, I think it's really hard to turn my attention away from Scotty Scheffler because he has been so dominant. He did win this tournament last year, and so far in this early season, he's successfully defended Waste Management Open win. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he defends this crown on Sunday because he is playing outstanding golf and he really knows this course well.
Yeah, he's great. He's also a grinder. He's not necessarily he hits the ball long, but I do like Rahm, but he's a big hitter, and this is more of a technical course. And he's probably due to win, a major in general. We've talked about he's a really good golfer. A lot of lay people would say Rory, he did finish second last year, but if you look at that, he closed 8 strokes on Sunday. He was down by 11 strokes.
Yeah.
Lost by 3 in the end. So I'd stay away from it. What about any of these longer shots that I pulled? You got Zalatoris at 4,000, Justin Rose at 6,000, Tommy Fleetwood at 6,000, and then Captain America Patrick Reed at plus 7,000.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Reed is interesting, as are some of these other golfers down the board. I think there's upwards of 18 golfers that are here this week from the Live Tour. And
Right.
so, I mean, in general, I think those guys, you're going to find some sneaky value on them because they've been like so much out of sight, out of mind from bettors and odds makers alike. Like a guy like Patrick Reed or Dustin Johnson, who has really not been in the limelight in terms of PGA Tour news, I think you could get some good odds on them.
Right. One of the guys that Prime mentioned, I did talk to him today. I was
Nice.
kind of trying to coax him onto the podcast, but when he's going to be on location. But he said, well, first of all, we should say that this is in Georgia. It's supposed to be kind of soupy out there. It's supposed to be rainy, crappy
Yeah.
weather. Not everybody plays well. Rory McIlroy. In crappy weather, watch him win this year. But one of the guys he mentioned, he likes like Shane Lowry. He's an Irish dude who actually plays in Europe and he plays in the soup.
And the
So
weather.
guys like that could be pretty good. He's plus 6,000. And some of those guys. So just keep that in mind, I guess. But you
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
usually bet those futures on these, do you?
I do have a bet on Max Homa that I placed after he won in LA at the Genesis,
Okay.
50-1, and I think his odds have been slashed quite a bit. So I like that one. I like Max Homa in general. I think he's an awesome guy, good guy, and a great golfer. That is the only futures ticket I have placed so far on this tournament.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to look at some, maybe some of these longer shots, and I'll probably put one somehow. Maybe I'll get some, I don't know, I'll have to look at what I can do on Rivers here. It's pretty straightforward on here, to be honest with you. But one of the things we've talked about in golf before that you really like is the matchups. Pick one guy versus another. Looks like you've identified one at least. You got Jason Day and Cam Young. So is that even minus 110 against each other there?
Yeah. This one, I haven't checked today. I think I put it in late last night. And I'm just going to go against Cam Young here. I think this is his second start at the Masters. And historically, there has been a couple of second-time winners. Jordan Spieth comes to mind. But historically, it takes a couple of iterations of playing in this tournament before you really get comfortable and understand the course layout. And so
Right.
Jason Day, conversely, has been at the top of the game no more than 5 years ago, but kind of fell off to some back injuries. But he's been playing really well this season, kind of back in the mix, so to speak. So I like the value there with him over Cam Young.
Yeah, he's from what I recall, it's vertigo.
Yeah,
that he's been struggling with. So it's you like both against both Cams, Cam Young and Cam Smith.
It's a Cam fade. Cam Smith is a live golfer who won a major last year. I think it was the British that he won. And he is probably one of the top live golfers that's playing here in the Masters this week. But he had an interview either Monday or Tuesday, and he basically told the media that he is not really liking his game right now. And so not a ton of confidence. I don't know if that was like intended to mislead us bettors out here, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the information that Cam gave to us, and I think that he's gonna flame out this week. So I'm gonna bet Jason Day over Cam Smith as well at a bigger price, minus 145.
Yeah, and just so people know how that works, that's for the 4 rounds total, right? So it's total score. So if one of the Cams gets cut, for example, and Jason Day makes the cut, automatic winner.
That's right. Yeah, despite if one golfer makes the cut and the other fails, despite how they do on the weekend, they automatically win because they advance farther.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Do you ever, I don't know, I haven't even looked at Rivers whether they do this, but sometimes you can bet whether people make the cut or miss the cut.
Yeah.
Are there any golfers that you would, Tiger Woods, you could bet to miss the cut?
Yeah, I mean, last year Tiger made the cut. I think it was a pretty nice price. He played well the first 2 days and then predictably flamed out on Saturday just by not having the stamina. And I think I read somewhere that his make the cut price this year is in the minus 180 range. So I definitely would not recommend a bet on that at that price. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he makes a cut and then has another poor round on Saturday, just like last year.
Yeah, one of the other things I'm looking here on Rivers, what they do is they have groups of players or something. They within, it's not just matchups. It's kind of like amongst these groups, you can, pick these guys, I guess. But so there's different ways to go. I don't see the cut line, which I like better. Bet against a guy, fading somebody.
Yeah.
I don't think that Rory would miss the cut, but he did miss it, I think in 2021, if that's right. Yeah. He missed it fairly recently. I'm sure if I could get a price, that'd be a pretty good price that he would miss the cut,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, generally speaking, golfers that play well on this course continue to play well in this course in the future. I mean, it's a course that sets up for players, and you normally see players at the top of the leaderboard who are there every year. Like Justin Rose comes to mind, who is a player who is, could be in and out of form, but he seems to play well here every year.
Right. It doesn't show to, I guess, it has to make the cut, not miss the cut currently. Maybe I have to look deeper at this. But, I would think that, we're finishing eagle bottom. Well, there's some combos here to review it.
And the other big thing that I've seen pop a lot this week in the sports gambling media is the par 5 scoring. I mean, the last 10 players, I think, that have won this tournament have dominated the field in par 5 scoring. Scotty shot 8 under last year on the par 5s and finished at -10. So the bulk of the scoring can be done on those long distance holes.
Right, exactly. As they make up for that, because when you get in those par 3s and 4s, I mean, they're so difficult. The distance now, they can cut it down so easily. They can make it happen. Plus, in general, I believe people do much better on the front 9 versus the back 9, because amen corner and all that stuff. There's kind of that stretch of holes where it's just a gauntlet that you have to run through. 17 and 18 are pretty easy, but I think it's like 11 through 16 are really hard holes. So typically people do well. Now, is it possible to bet live in the Masters?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, you can bet live even on Thursday afternoon. So I heard a couple of guys today in a podcast that suggested Scotty Scheffler is playing in like the third to last group tomorrow. And you could wait until like noon right before his tee time and potentially get a better number than that 650 or 700 that's posted right now. Because if there's a couple guys that go out in the morning wave and shoot really well, you could see Scotty drift up a little bit before he even tees off.
That's awesome. And that's the same with the matchups. Do they move as well?
Yeah. Typically, the matchups at most books will close once the golfers tee off, but you can bet them day over day. Like you can pick a round 2 matchup or round 3 or round 4, for example, as the tournament progresses each day.
The other thing that's not I was listening to the Golf Channel today too much, apparently. It appears, it's possibly not, but Tiger is talking like it might be his last Masters.
Wow.
He obviously, there's people that play the Masters, at least try to get out there until they can't anymore. But I think the walking thing is really difficult for him at this point with, the leg stuff, the reconstruction and all that. So, the way he was talking, it sounded like it might be his last, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, obviously this weekend's also Easter weekend. Are you going to be down with the fam?
No, we're going down next weekend for a couple of showers. So we're going to stick around here this weekend. How about you?
I'm going to brunch at my uncle's place, my uncle and aunt's place. It's fairly early. They might have the Masters on. I'll come home and watch it. I always like watching the end, especially if it's a close one. I'll be playing volleyball on. Actually, it's cute. It's somebody's one a volleyball person's birthday. They did a little pub crawl through Wrigley, but they matched it up with. They probably knew about the Masters, so they're doing they're calling it like a putting scorecard, like a golf card. You have nine holes, 9 bars, and your par is based on, you have like challenges at each bar. Drink 2 shots and a water or something like that. So these guys are very creative, this volleyball crew. I don't think I'm going to go to 9 bars action, just saying that out loud now. Not that I can't, but I might try to hit the back 4 of 9.
Yeah. I don't doubt you could do 9 bars in one day, Wegs.
I know I can do it. I know I have the ability to do it, but do I want to be like I was? I played volleyball after the Final Four party, so I didn't, just reversing this podcast. On the weekend, I had the Final Four party on Saturday. Had a pretty good time. Well, just a little bit of money. Some people who were rooting for Miami were sad. We went to Cody's, this other bar, not too far from Four Shadows. I was there till, I don't know, 1:45, late. I played volleyball at 7:30.
Wow.
I was pretty sweaty and tired. I got about 3.5 hours of sleep in the end. So I needed a good long nap on Sunday when I got home after eating some food, and then did the final, the Final Four update for the pool. So don't really want to do that again going Easter Sunday, but I could. I
Yeah.
mean, why not?
Yeah. It's tough showing up at family events like that. No doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Let's change that narrative on Jimmy Wegs' life here. Um, great. Well, hey, been a great season. Action season
Yeah.
5. We did it. Made things happen. Didn't win any cash on the big contest, but individually we won some money in both NFL and college basketball. So nice work.
Yeah. Well, hopefully get that cashing ticket next year.
That's right. That's right. So for our loyal listeners, we'll pick it back up late August or so for NFL previews, and then we will do the big. There was a lot of buzz. I will tell you this. Action happens every year. I heard lots of people say they want to go to the September trip. This is what I'm
Oh,
being told. Oh, we're
nice.
doing it. Okay, you're gonna do it. I mean, 6 different people at the Final Four party said they're in. I'm like, okay, we'll believe it when I see it. But
Yeah.
pumping it up now. We obviously know it's the second weekend in September after Labor Day, so we'll be there signing up, doing our thing, and you're welcome to join us, everybody, now. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks again. Been a great season, and everybody, thanks for following us. Follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter, Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31S Roberts.
All right. Enjoy your summer.